Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, thank you so much for clicking on my video. My name is Caira and I make videos all about Chicago, apartments, and a little bit of Trader Joe's. Today's video, I'm honestly kind of nervous to make this, but it is the most commonly asked question that I've had across my channel that I have avoided for years, and that is, how much have I paid for my apartments in Chicago? I don't honestly know why this has always made me so uncomfortable. I think it's just talking about money. Like, I never want it to come off like I'm either bragging or I don't know. It's just always made me feel really uncomfortable. And recently I was talking to one of my friends about how talking about money is actually something that's really empowering. And if more people were transparent about money, I think people would have better relationships with it. And she kind of got on my case and was like, well, why aren't you practicing what you preach? You don't talk about on your channel. And I was like, you're right. And so this is me holding myself accountable, and I thought I would make a video all about how much I've spent on all of my apartments in Chicago and what those current apartments are going for today. For a little bit of context, I moved to Chicago with my then boyfriend, now fiance, and so for all of these apartments, we were splitting the rent. So this is what we were paying as two people together, and I'll kind of take you through the timeline of everything to tell you why the prices we've sometimes paid are wildly different from what they are now. Let's just go ahead and jump into it. All right, so my first apartment in Chicago, she was so cute. We were such little babies to the city and just so excited to be here. We rented this apartment in February of 2019. We flew out in January and they basically said that they'd hold the apartment for 30 days for us, which was a little bit earlier than we wanted to move. But if we did it within that time frame, they were gonna give us 2 months free on a 15-month lease. We love hard math. This is a junior 1-bed convertible studio. It's really just a convertible. It just has a designated like bedroom area nook. It was also interior facing, so it faced into a courtyard, so we really didn't have much of a view. I could see like the tops of some buildings, but that was it. And it was on the top floor of that building, which is the 6th floor. But because of that, they called it a penthouse, and it's definitely like, it was just a regular ass apartment. There is no reason it should have been called a penthouse. And let me point out, it did have washer and dryer in unit. It did not have a dishwasher, and it also had a smaller sized fridge. That being said, this first apartment, which we loved so much, base price was $2,000 a month, and then we got 2 months free on a 15-month lease, which brought the net effective price down to $1,733. Originally, when we moved to Chicago, our budget was $1,700, and we were looking for 1-beds, and I hated all of them. And so we did decide to go slightly over budget and move into a convertible instead of a 1-bed because we liked it just so much more. And honestly, loved that apartment. It was great. So wanted to pull up, I have my laptop here, what apartments are going for in that building now. What's tough is the building is a vintage building, so all of the floor plans are completely different across all the floors, and that specific unit isn't available. So I wasn't really able to pull like perfect numbers here. My guess is that building, just based off of what is available in the building right now, I think it would have been going for closer to $22,000, and they are not offering any concessions. Right now is May of 2022, and we're seeing really high prices, and just about nowhere is offering any concessions like 1 month free or 2 months free. Because we rented in January, we were able to get a better price. It's definitely a lot more expensive right now. That unit would not be $1,700, I can tell you that for sure. So that one, for our first landing spot in Chicago, for knowing nothing about the Chicago market or anything about Chicago in general, I feel like that was a pretty good fit for us. So fast forward, we stayed in that apartment until COVID hit. When COVID hit in March of 2020, Alex had to start working from home, and because we were in a studio, he was doing like consulting for financial advisors, and so he was on calls all day, and it was impossible. Like, we could not work in that studio, the two of us. Like, all of his calls could literally hear me like opening the microwave or the fridge or trying to do laundry or anything, and I filmed videos all day, and like, it just wasn't gonna work. So we left that apartment, moved in with his family in Western New York for a couple of months. That apartment sat vacant, which was just such a waste of money. But then we ended up driving back to Chicago, moved all of our stuff out when our lease ended in May. We moved all of our stuff back to New York with us, and then essentially didn't pay rent for May and June, and then moved back to Chicago in July. That was the apartment that I feel like a lot of you guys probably found me on for the first time, because that was our stunning floor to ceiling window, corner unit, 16-foot ceiling apartment in River North. That apartment was so cool. It was a lot smaller than I think people realized. This says it was 718 square feet and I just don't believe it. Like that cannot be true. I honestly think that apartment was closer to like 600 maybe. It does have a really long hallway though, so maybe it's 700. I don't know. Anyways, beautiful, beautiful apartment. We got that one on a really good deal because it was like the height of the pandemic and prices were going for so cheap. We put in our application in May of 2020 and then our lease started July 5th. Of 2020. So even though it was summer and typically we see the highest prices that time of year because it was COVID, we got a crazy good deal. So that apartment was $2,200 a month plus 1 month free on a 12-month lease, which then came out to $2,016. This was a true one bed. It was our first one bed we'd ever had. And for those windows, it was like right at the top of what we wanted to spend. I think at that point we were like, we'd gotten our renewal from our first apartment and they basically offered us about the same rate, like $2,000, but they didn't offer us the 2 months free. And so it wouldn't have netted at $1,700, it would have been $2,000. And so we're like, okay, we can move here into this stunning apartment for the same price we would have paid for our studio, just $16 more. And we're like, all right, that's an easy decision. So we moved into there and I feel like that one was a really, really good deal for us as well. And we loved that spot. This one's also really hard for me to figure out right now because again, that same exact unit is not available. They do have a very similar unit that's on a different floor. It doesn't have the 16-foot ceilings. It has like standard ceiling heights. It's on a lower floor. It's also not on a same corner like ours was. And that unit is going for $2,600. So honestly, my guess is that our apartment is gonna go for $3,000. I have no idea, but based off of this pricing, if that other one is going for 26, maybe ours will be like 28, but it's gonna be more than 26 for sure. And again, this building is currently not offering concessions. So the fact that we got to live in that beautiful unit for 2,000 was like such a steal because 2,000 is literally like, people are looking at studios for 2,000 right now because prices are so high. All right, this next one is the craziest of all of the pricing that we've ever gotten in the city. And I am going to make an entirely separate video on this because it's just like such a good story and so crazy. But this is our apartment in the Loop. So if you've been following along, moved out of the one bed with the stunning windows into a different corner unit that's in the Loop across from the Art Institute. We could see the lake from the bedroom, so that was really, really cool. But we did it for a 6-month lease. This one was a short-term one because we got it on an insane COVID deal. It was the craziest COVID deal I'd seen the entire time. And our rent was $800 a month. It's like, I cannot believe that we lived in downtown Chicago in a one bed for $800 a month. It was insane. We loved that unit so much. I honestly very strongly considered renewing there. I'll get into that in a second. But they just offered this like ridiculous deal, but it was only for 6-month leases. So we were like, screw it, let's move to the Loop for 6 months. Why not? We've never lived there and we loved it. Like we absolutely loved living in the Loop. It was so cool. It was so easy to get around. We loved being near the lake. But once our 6 months there was up, they were bringing that unit back up to market value. And at that time, which was this last December, they said that that unit was going to be going for $2,200. And I'm a leasing agent. Fun fact, if you didn't know already, I am a leasing agent in Chicago. I can help you find your apartment. I work with Compass and I'd love to be able to help you. Jot from link in the description box. But because of that, I look at apartments every single day and I know the market really, really well. And that unit in December should not have been going for 22. Like it was just really overpriced for what it was. I think at that time that unit should have been closer to like 19. And I offered to see if they'd work with me and they basically came back with a hard no. And I was like, all right, then we're leaving. Like I'm not going to pay what I think is way overpriced for this unit. We like it, but we're going to find something else. So we moved again. But for context, what that unit is renting at right now, this one that I'm pulling the pricing for is the exact same floor plan. It is 2 floors down, so I would expect that this maybe would be like $20 more, but they have one currently available and it's $2,350 a month and we paid $800. That's insane. Okay, fast forward, decided to move out of that apartment and we're looking at lots of different options. All right, so for my current apartment, we didn't have like set areas we wanted to be in or anything. We were pretty open. We did want to keep at a one bed, but we were open to a convertible as long as it had enough square footage. I didn't want us to feel cramped, but I don't need all the walls. Honestly, I could have done without. So we were looking at a couple different places and I was just like scouring things online 24/7 because this is what I do for my clients. It's what I do for myself. And this unit had popped up in our current building that was way underpriced compared to what the market was at. Again, this was December of 2021. That we were looking for moving into here. And so we currently are in a junior 2-bed. It's essentially a 1-bed plus den that is big enough to be able to hold a queen size bed, plus 2 bathrooms and a balcony. This is our first like real luxury building. Our other buildings were really, really nice, but they're not like top tier luxury, I guess. This one is. And they had this one listed for $2,400 a month. This is obviously more than we'd been paying, but the way that we looked at it was because we'd been paying $800. We're like, okay, we can put some of what we've saved into going to this one. Plus, at this point, I'm licensed, fully operating and working, and the management company for this building offered to pay me on my own lease as if I'd brought like a client in, because they would have paid me if I brought in a client. They said they'd pay me the same as if I brought in a client for my own apartment, which is amazing. So essentially, if you include that, it kind of brought the net effective price down to closer to like 22. But if you don't include that, it's 24, which was a stinking good price for the amount of space that we got. And we just love this unit so much. Like, it is perfect for us. It is the perfect amount of space and everything that we could possibly need. This floor plan isn't available at all right now. They have one that is very, very similar. It's facing a different way and I don't like its view as much, and it loses like a closet and an entryway. Anyways, that very similar floor plan, they as of now don't have any available, but they did like 2 days ago when I pulled pricing, and that one was going for $32.16. So slightly different, a little bit smaller, but essentially $800. Oh my God, $800 more than what we're paying right now. Really, that part is because we rented in December and right now it's busy season in May, and that $3,200 one flew off the market in like a day. Like, it's already rented. So this was me trying to come out of my comfort zone and be a little bit more transparent with money for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this gave you some good insight on just apartments and what we've paid and what things look like in the city right now compared to what it looked like previously. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up, especially because I was really nervous about making it. Your support would mean so much to me. And if you have any questions, comments, anything, feel free to comment down below. You can also go over and follow me on Instagram, shoot me a DM over there. I answer all of my DMs. I'm trying to answer as many comments as I can possibly get to. And lastly, if you haven't already, hit that big red subscribe button because I have a ton of Chicago apartment content and I would love for you to be able to follow along. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.